The war finally comes to an end. The Allied powers need to deal with the aftermath of the war crimes, the reconstruction of the economy, and the occupation of the Axis countries. The Nuremberg trials were held recently against the 22 German leaders indicted as major war criminals. These trials began November 1945 in Nuremberg, Germany, soon after the war, and ended in October 1946. A trial was insisted by the U.S. Secretary of War, Henry L. Stimson. In order for the criminality of the Nazi regime to fully be exposed, Stimson also believed that the defendants should be charged with conspiracies. However, the French and the Soviets were resistant at first due to the fact that the conspiracies did not exist under the Continental Law. America urged for the charge against them, and the efforts finally paid off under count 1 of the indictments. All 22 defendants were charged with conspiracies.
The defendants were also charged with count 2, the planning or waging of aggressive war, which is illegal and punishable. The Germans violated treaties during the war, most importantly the Kellogg-Briand Pact of 1928. This evidence helped justify the prosecution. The 1935 Treaty of London was also violated, leading to the charge of count 3, violations of the rules of war. The German Navy violated the rules of war by sinking merchant ships without warning. Lastly, all but 2 of the 22 defendants were charged with count 4, crimes against humanity, and 12 of the defendants received the death penalty. Aside from Germany, the Allied powers had the responsibility of dealing with the effects of war in Japan. Supreme Command of Allied Powers General Douglas MacArthur divided the occupation of Japan into 3 phases. The first phase lasted from the end of the war, 1945 to 1947, and consisted of punishing and reforming Japan. War crime trials were held in Tokyo and punished Japan for the militarism and expansion during the war. Japan's army was dismantled and the former military leaders were not allowed to take political roles in the new government. Land reforms were also created to lessen the power of rich landowners, since many of them advocated for war. The country was also reformed into more of a parliamentary system as opposed to the old dictatorship.
The second phase of occupation lasted from 1947 to 1949 and consisted of quality of life improvements. Conditions for Japanese workers were better than they ever have been with the drafting of the Labor Standards Act of 1947. Business and manufacturing were greatly encouraged by the American soldiers, and with the monopoly of the Zaibatsu gun, many new denizens were able to make a living for themselves and soar through their selected industries. Japan included Article 9 in the post-war constitution, which banned Japan from having any military forces assembled after being dismantled. Surprisingly, this act was brought upon by the hand of their own Prime Minister, Kojiro Shidehara. The second phase of American occupation lasted from 1949 to 1951. As the occupation was beginning to wind down, the San Francisco Treaty of 1951 was signed, giving Japan independence in return for all land claims to be released.